with a win over the UCF Knights in the opening round of the Greenbrier Tip-Off. I am ready to say it. I was close after the Arizona game, but we've seen enough. This Wisconsin Badgers men's basketball team is an NCAA tournament team. Good morning, and thank you for enjoying it with the Six-Pack, the Scunny Six-Pack, the only podcast talking all things Wisconsin sports at just 6 days a week. I'm your host, Kedrick Stumbris. You can follow me on the website, formerly known as Twitter, at Kedrick Stumbris, and follow the podcast at Scunny Six-Pack. Also follow at Kedrick Stumbris on Bluesky for the latest updates in Wisconsin sports. I cover the Wisconsin Badgers for Athlon Sports, and I was not at the Greenbrier Tip-Off yesterday. I was in the building at the Wisconsin women's hockey game where Casey O'Brien tied the program record for most career assists with 138. We'll be back in the building tonight as she goes to shatter that program record. But we have a massive weekend of Wisconsin sports ahead of us. And let's break it all down here on the Scunny Six-Pack podcast. Thank you for listening. You can listen wherever you listen to podcasts. Also watch on YouTube, youtube.com/@ScunnySixPack. You can also get access to our premium subscribers only chat, notebook, and more. And we have a special treat at the end of the show for our premium subscribers. Just $5 a month gets you exclusive access, including my one-on-one interview at the end of the show with Wisconsin punter Atticus Bertrams, who had some exciting things to say about punting in Nebraska in particular. So stick around to the end of the show on the audio platform, Substack or Spotify, if you are part of our premium subscribers network. If you are not, head to the show notes, scunny6pack.substack.com to join. This Wisconsin Badgers basketball team is an NCAA tournament team. That became clear to me long before the buzzer hit final on Friday evening at the Greenbrier Tip-Off. This team just has too much. They win 86-70, and a 16-point game that never really felt in doubt. There was some sloppy-ish play toward the tail end of the first half. But some of that I can forgive just when they had opened up an early 20-point lead. And sometimes you lose focus. Steven Crowell gets pushed off the court, basically out of the game with a technical foul late in the first half, and he didn't play in most of this game. Steven Crowell only with 14 minutes overall. I should make a note of when the last time Steven Crowell only played 14 minutes. There have been some games in which he found himself in foul trouble, and that was a theme throughout last season when Wisconsin had some slips along the way down the stretch of Big Ten play, and Wisconsin couldn't rebound from that, for lack of a better term that doesn't sound so punny. But now with another year under his belt, Nolan Winter has answered the call, and we'll get into that a little bit later in the show. But Steven Crowell, 14 minutes. That's his lowest mark since a 91-83 loss to Illinois on March 2nd of last season, during which he also had 4 personal fouls. Otherwise, he does not play that little. And has not played that little in a very, very, very long time. For the Badgers to get this win told me a lot in how they played about what this team is going to do throughout the season. And a lot of it does come down to the offense, but this was also an impressive defensive performance. The most complete team defensive performance that we have seen from Wisconsin this season. And I will caveat that with the understanding that UCF did miss a lot of shots, which made the defensive performance look a little bit better. UCF shot 33.9% from the floor, only made 2 of 17 3-pointers. I believe they started the game 0 of 11 from beyond the arc. Really, really rough for UCF. But Wisconsin forced UCF into shots that made them uncomfortable. And Wisconsin, especially to open the game, kept UCF out of its patterns of doing things that it wanted. Wisconsin rebounded really, really well in the opening 15 minutes of this game. Wisconsin had 4 offensive rebounds to UCF's 1, which that Knights team is really, really good on the glass and can really clean up there. But this was an all-around solid defensive performance. Ultimately, it's clear to me that this Wisconsin team is going to go as far as its offense takes it, I think, which is so different from years past. And the reason I feel confident in prognosticating this as an NCAA tournament team today, and I understand that's getting ahead of myself, but this team, it's not about the wins. It's not about feeling good about being 6-0 for the first time in a decade. It's about a handful of things. One, this team has real high upside talent in John Blackwell. Every time John Blackwell goes baseline, it feels like he's going to score. If he doesn't score from there, he can take really, really, really tough shots in the mid-range that I think nobody on that staff wants anybody taking that kind of shot from the mid-range that John Blackwell pulls up, but he is just deadly with that mid-range jumper. He nails it. It is, and I don't want to bring this comparison, but I'm going to first. It is Johnny Davis-esque in the way that he has that mid-range shot. So far, he doesn't look like the player Johnny Davis is. I don't think he has that individual athletic upside. But John Blackwell is maybe a better defender, which brings so much to this team, especially when you compare that with his partner on the wing in John Tonje, who is a willing defender, is a solid defender. And you couldn't say that all the time about a guy like John Tonje, who's coming in with an old presence, a basketball player who already knows what he is, but Greg Gard wants him to be something more, something better. And they have gotten that out of John Tonje so far. The way he wills himself to the hoop just shows like he has that grown man strength. He is the dad of the team, as Nolan Winter referred to him as early in the season. And when John Tonje gets 14 shots from the floor to only get 15 points, it feels like a down game for John Tonje compared to the way John Tonje has shot to open the season and has scored at such a incredibly efficient clip to open the season. He had 19 points against Rio Grande Valley, UTRGV, with just 5 shots from the field. Against Arizona, obviously weird game, that caveat aside. John Tonje had 41 points on 14 shots. He had 17 points on 14 shots against App State, 13 points on 4 shots from the floor against Montana State, 23 points on 11 shots from the floor against Holy Cross. So for him to get 14 shots from the floor and only get 15 points, feels down. But that's because he has been so efficient in the way that he scores. He wills himself to the line. He is not afraid to attack with straight line drives, dribble penetration, just some incredible cutting, and the pick and roll game, which is where I'll go next about why I feel so confident in this team. Whew! Man, this offense is so fun to watch. It's so fun to watch, especially with Steven Crowell and Nolan Winter on the floor together, which I know we didn't get a ton of in this game, but the way this offense plays off the bigs, the way this offense plays off of both bigs, oh, wow, it is beautiful basketball. Like, Kirk Penny is just a revelation, man. And this offense, after having now one full season and then another 6 games under its belt, you see it really all coming together in the way that they, all 5 players on the floor, play as a team is massive. It is the backcourt playing off of both Crowell and Winter. That's really impressive. You have these really, really just, oh God, it looks so deadly every time. These give and go sets between the wings in John Blackwell and John Tonje that play off of Steven Crowell in particular is when I notice them most. They're just so good, and they work so well with Steven Crowell because Crowell is such a willing, beautiful passer, and it makes that pick and roll game even better because even if the guard, and I noticed this in a set during the game where Kamari McGee, who, man, that's who we'll get to a little bit later too, gets like a secondary assist if this were hockey, where Steven Crowell rolls off of him, and then Crowell kicks it out to the corner for a corner three. And that play doesn't happen without the guard who from the opposite side of the court from where the shot goes off, playing the pick and roll perfectly, and Crowell nailing that pass. And when it's not Crowell, you have a guy like Nolan Winter who complements Stephen Crowell so well in his own right, who has a little bit more of that willing strength of going to the rim. And of course, there's all the talk all the time about you want aggressive Steve, you want big Steve, and Nolan Winter gives you flashes of that. He's a little bit better around around the glass. Those two playing together on the floor and just the very small changes in dynamic that they bring is so fun. And it makes that team just so deadly in the pick and roll at times. And they crushed UCF on it, particularly in the first half. Then you add, on top of all the offense, just two dogs in Max Klesmit and Kamari McGee. Max Klesmit is going to be a little bit of hit or miss, I think, basically in any game from the offensive side. But you're going to have games where Max Klesmit goes up and scores 15. And you're going to have these games where he scores 8 and it feels kind of pedestrian because he's going to get the shots up. He got 7 shots up from 3 in this game, and 2 of them hit, and it's like fine. But he's going to go off for 26 against Montana State. He's going to get 15 against Appalachian State. Sometimes when the shots are just going down, when his shots are just going down, like he hits 6 of 11 as well as 6 free throws, 6 of 6 from the stripe against Montana State. He has the ability to be your leading scorer on any given night. Not that he's going to do it every night, but maybe 1 in 5 nights, 1 in 6 nights. Any one of John Tonje, John Blackwell, Max Klesmit, I mean, I'll throw in Stephen Crowell, Kamari McGee, even like maybe who can lead your team in scoring. That's a really fun team to watch, and it is just fantastic basketball. Max Klesmit, Junkyard Dog, as his teammates call him. He is really outstanding at applying ball pressure. And then there is the Kamari McGee of it all, which, man, you just can't say enough about Kamari McGee. And I'm going to talk about Kamari McGee a little bit after we do a Wisconsin weekend whip around really quickly here as we transition to giving our MVPs and NIP of the game against UCF. Of course, I couldn't just pick one MVP. I want to talk about a couple of guys. I'll probably talk about a few more than that. But quick Wisconsin weekend whip around as with a huge weekend. I mentioned Wisconsin, the women's hockey team, going for a sweep of the St. Thomas Tommies, bounced back Friday night after they closed a 2-game series at Ohio State with a loss. But that team is back up and rolling in a little bit of slow second period, and both Mark Johnson and winger Kirsten Sims said after the game that they both felt the third period was their best period when they really turned it on there. But an exciting game where Casey O'Brien tied the program record with most assists, and a Wisconsin native who transferred back to the Wisconsin Badgers women's hockey team, Michaela Zilish, who, like, fun fact, this isn't in the written story, which you should go read over on Athlon Sports. I have that linked in the podcast description. I actually played youth hockey with one of her older brothers, so very cool to be in the building last night as she had herself a great evening when an opportunity was presented to her for the Badgers. So recommend go reading that. Also a story up on a Wisconsin Badgers player who did not travel to the Greenbrier Tip-Off, that in the podcast description as well. My latest story for Athlon Sports. Wisconsin Badgers football team, of course, plays Nebraska today. If you go to Athlon Sports and All Badgers, you'll find all of our staff's predictions for what we think is going to happen in this game. Some, uneasy feelings coming out in those writings, in those predictions. But if you are a premium subscriber to the show, as I mentioned at the top, I have an interview, one-on-one interview with Atticus Bertrams, who joins me at the end of the show to talk punting, some of the earlier season successes, and punting in Nebraska in particular. Some really good thoughts. And before we get back to the basketball game, some quick thoughts on the Green Bay Packers, who will play the San Francisco 49ers on Sunday at Lambeau Field. No Nick Bosa for San Francisco. No Brock Purdy for San Francisco. It's a take care of business game for the Green Bay Packers now. And especially with the way the 49ers have been slipping and with the way the NFC North is just so competitive, and Green Bay is going to need every win that it can get. You gotta find a way to win this one. You just gotta find a way, because that game is a lot easier now than it was when the schedule came out at the beginning of the year, and you gotta find a way. Should hopefully have something of an instant reaction show after that game wraps tomorrow, but who knows? I'll probably be watching a lot of college basketball, and we'll find a way to make it work. All right, let's talk Wisconsin Badgers MVPs coming out of the win over the UCF Knights. I'm going to share the box score with y'all for those of you who are watching on YouTube, youtube.com/@Scotty6pack. Pulling that up real quick so that you can all get a sense of what it is I want to refer to here. But I got two MVPs for this one. The first being Nolan Winter, because for as well as Steven Crowell and Nolan Winter complement each other when they are both on the floor, and that's when I like them most. I know there were plenty of folks who were skeptical about the idea of having the two of them on the floor together, and sometimes they can't stay on the floor together. Against UTRGV, they got ran off, and Wisconsin needs a little bit of a better performance against teams like that are going to go small. And Wisconsin found a way with its lineup, but it needs to challenge itself to perform better than escaping with a 3-point win over a team like UTRGV, a good UTRGV Vaqueros team, but not one that Wisconsin should be playing a 3-point game with. But when Nolan Winter can stay on the court, and particularly in this game where he records the first double-double of his career, Nolan Winter with 13 points and 10 rebounds, 5 on the offensive glass, where he has cleaned up so far this season. There has not been a Wisconsin big to clean up on the glass at times like Nolan Winter has to start this year. He also had 6 offensive rebounds against Appalachian State, that of course being a team that didn't quite have the size to match up with Wisconsin, but not the lateral quickness to take advantage of Wisconsin's size like a UTRGV had. So there was something there for Nolan Winter, and just a sheer physical matchup disadvantage that App State had that the Badgers took advantage of. But you want your bigs to take advantage of matchups like that. Nolan Winter, though, just I mean, awesome. And he had he had a moment in the first half where he backed down someone in the post. Oh, that's awesome. Just incredible growth from Nolan Winter so far this year. Backing down guys in the post, playing in the pick and roll with John Tonje. He goes hard on the offensive glass in the first half and gets fouled. He is having an impressive start to the career, and for him to the season, and for him to do it playing 28 minutes, playing in relief, big minutes of relief for Steven Crowell. The most minutes of Nolan Winter's career thus far, eclipsing his previous high mark of 23 minutes against Appalachian State. The most minutes he played in a game a season ago was 18 in that gross loss to Michigan in February, 72-68. Nolan Winter came in, played big minutes as Steven Crowell picked up his 4th foul with 19 minutes and 44 seconds remaining in the second half, and he played in control in a way that he did not a year ago he has taken that jump. If you were going to give credit and talk about the narrative of the biggest jump possible for John Blackwell, I mean, like, maybe it is Nolan Winter, who has, from a relative basis of how their jump can impact this team, I think you can make an argument that the kind of jump Nolan Winter has taken is maybe bigger, just from a standpoint of how it can impact how many games this team can win. Because right now it looks like without this kind of jump that Nolan Winter is taking, I don't know that the Badgers have the kind of front court presence that they need outside of Steven Crowell to win a whole bunch of games, to win the requisite number of games that they're going to need to compete in the night in, night out nature of the Big Ten and eventually get to the NCAA tournament. 5 of 8 from the field. He hit one of his 2 shots from beyond the arc. No fouls, which, no personal fouls. It's not that Nolan Winter was unable to play without fouling last year, but that was true at times. And it got better down the stretch of last season. Fouling wasn't really a problem for him, but for him to play the kind of big minutes that he does, 28, with no personal fouls, is really big, because when he played those 23 minutes against Appalachian State, he did have 3 fouls. Yeah, Nolan Winter, a huge part of what this team does and what it's going to do moving forward. Then there's the other MVP, which is Kamari McGee. And yeah, you could say John Blackwell is the MVP because he has 17 points in this game. You could say it's John Tonje, who has 15 points in this game. Kamari McGee, who has 14 points in this game, does so on 5 of 6 shooting, hits 3 of 4 shots from 3. All Kamari McGee does is make level-headed winning plays. It is the stuff that doesn't show up in the stat sheet, like I referred to before, as the secondary assists on the pick and roll that are really impressive. When Kamari McGee checked into the game for the first time, he had like 3 impact plays, either on an assist or a secondary assist, tipping a ball to force a long rebound, and then chasing down that rebound in transition, all within 45 seconds of getting onto the court. He gets a huge layup and gets the foul in transition. He's also so good late in the shot clock, whether it's finding the late pass or so often he just knows that he has to take it and straight line drive with the ball to the hoop and go get a layup, get himself to the rim. And he's really good at that. I've been saying it since I think the offseason. That's such an underrated part of his game, his ability to just drive hard, cut hard, and get to the foul line at times. Such an underrated part of his game. Wow. He hit a 3, one of his 3 threes. He hit as the shot clock expired to go up 19 in the first half, and it just felt like it was over. Because no matter how late in the clock UCF forced Wisconsin in this one, oh man, the Badgers just found a way. It was such an impressive game, on the offensive end in particular. Yeah, Kamari McGee. I mean, just huge. And he's so good at executing these plays on the inbound too. That Greg Gard is great at drawing up. He just finds a way to direct traffic, get guys open under the basket, and get it to finish. You can also make a case for, I mean, anybody else as a secondary playmaker on this team to be an MVP for this one. John Tonje, 4 assists, ties his career high, as well as his 15 points. Max Klesmit has 3 assists. Steven Crowell has 3 assists. Steven Crowell has 3 assists, and he only played 14 minutes. That's yeah. I don't know what else needs to be said. John Blackwell, 3 assists. Kamari McGee, 3 assists. Carter Gilmore, 2 assists. And also, like, Carter Gilmore's not the black hole that he has been in years past on offense. It is clear that teams are not respecting his offensive game. And it's not the full-on Wisconsin is playing 4-on-5 when they're on offense with Carter Gilmore on the court anymore. He does absolutely bring something there. He got to the line and sunk 2 of 2 free throws in this one. But it's 100% him making impact plays on defense, going up and getting 2 blocks, which Jack Janicki also has a block in this game. And like, oh man, Jack Janicki. I don't know if he attempted a windmill dunk in transition or what. But man, Jack Janicki. Jack Janicki doesn't do anything at under 110%. No, Jack Janicki is full Jack Janicki 100% of the time. And yeah, that's fun. That's fun. He's going to step into a role after Max Klesmit leaves, I think, and be another one of these full effort all the time guys that the Badgers need. But Carter Gilmore around the glass, jumping up and getting blocks. I guess it's just part of this team's defensive identity at this point. And it's just going to be what it's going to be. Which, all right, cool. All right, the not fun part. Wisconsin's needs improvement player, the NIP, the NIP in this one. I'm giving it to Xavier Amos. And I, early in this game, had actually been talking to some folks, and I was praising Xavier Amos in this game, who had been running the offense, executing the offense at a level that I don't think we had seen him do so far. But there comes a time where, and I get it, I get that you want him taking some of these shots, maybe even most of these shots, but there's a certain point at which it just feels like Xavier Amos goes, it's Xavier Amos time, and just starts letting him rip whenever he gets the ball in his hands. And there is something just a little bit different from the way that he doesn't pass up good shots, while a lot of other folks on the team do pass up good shots to go find a great shot. And I would just need to, like, maybe I'm too critical here, and maybe I'm for some reason when I watch him, I'm singling him out because I'm just expecting a little bit more from him at this point. But Xavier Amos goes 2 of 7 from the field, 0 of 4 from beyond the arc. He does have 5 rebounds in this game, but it just feels like he should be doing more around the glass. There are times where it just feels like he's watching balls fall instead of going and getting a rebound, which is such a big part of what that defense needs Xavier Amos to be doing in his minutes at the 4, because that's where the Badgers are going to get a lot of their rebounds traditionally. And if he's not going to rebound at that high level, and there have been times in the past where just watching has turned into, like against UTRGV, has just turned into like offensive rebounds that shouldn't exist for the other team. If Amos is going to be out there without somebody else in the front court who is just feasting on the glass, I just don't know how he stays on the court for big minutes. Like I don't know how Amos and Crowell work together defensively. I don't get it. Amos and Gilmore, like, I guess works enough just because Gilmore is gonna, scrap for everything that he could get. But I think you're fortunate to have John Tonje out there if the two of them are going to be on the court at the same time, because John Tonje can make up for a little bit of that rebounding. He had 6 boards in this game. But like between that, it just feels like it just feels like this team is just missing just a little bit more from Xavier Amos. And maybe it'll come. It's still early. And there's a game yet to come in West Virginia against Pitt. But I think he's good enough to where this team expects a little bit more from him. I just think he's better than what we've seen so far. And so when I say he's the nip for this game, I think it's because there is improvement there that he can tap into, and I think he will tap into at some point in time during this season. And ultimately, Wisconsin's going to need that because there's going to be a game where Stephen Crowell gets into foul trouble. Maybe Nolan Winter doesn't have as solid of a game as he has here, and they need more of these bodies in the front court. All right. One last note before we wrap up the free part of the show. Jack Robison's going to be a dog for this program someday. I don't know when it is. I don't know if it's next year. But Jack Robison's going to be that dude. You just see it in the way that his teammates react when he's on the floor and he gets up a shot. Everybody seems to just know that it's going in. I think Jack Robison's just going to be a dude. I do. And maybe it's too early, but right now he just looks like he's going to be a dude, man. All right. That's going to do it for today's free portion of the show. If you are a premium subscriber to Scotty Six Pack, which you can do so by finding the link in the podcast description, scottysixpack.substack.com. Stick around for my exclusive interview with Atticus Bertrams, where we talk punting, baby. This is a Big Ten West battle where I'm sure we are going to see plenty of the punters this afternoon in Lincoln, Nebraska. And Atticus Bertrams had a thing or two to say about punting in environments like Nebraska at Memorial Stadium. So we'll be back tomorrow, hopefully talking a Wisconsin Badgers victory, bringing home some hardware as they play a Green Bay Packers victory as they get the monkey off their back from the San Francisco 49ers and shake that icky feeling off of a divisional loss to the 49ers in last year's playoffs. Until we talk to you all again very soon after that, this has been the Scotty Six Pack Podcast, hosted by yours truly, Kedrick Stumbris. You can find me on the website formerly known as Twitter and on Bluesky at Kedrick Stumbris for the latest updates in Wisconsin sports. I cover the Wisconsin Badgers for Athlon Sports. I will be at LeBron Arena tonight as Casey O'Brien tries to break the program record for most assists in a career. Caroline Harvey also trying to eclipse the 100-point mark tonight in her career for Badgers. I'll be there. Follow along for updates. Go read my latest stories for Athlon Sports, link in the podcast description. So we talk to you all again very soon on Wisconsin.